15 years ago, all I had pain-free was about this. And I spent a lot of time undercutting that with walking backward. That scales to almost any level because of how far of a step you take. Notice the farther a step, the more the knee is over your toes. And you could either increase speed or add load to it. So you have infinite scalability up or down. But I don't consider that essential. I consider that an undercut to then a more essential human ability of being able to go downhill, which we have a smooth scale for, because you can assist yourself and then you have the slope. So let's say we're going downhill and you had some assistance and you took small steps and it wasn't that far, wasn't too steep downhill. Well, that would be much easier. So the steeper, the bigger steps you take, the less assistance you use, the higher you can take that level. So it's partly a subject of being able to master getting out of pain. It's also a subject of being able to master how not to have further problems. But it's a human body. It's a relatively fragile thing. It just doesn't have to be nearly as fragile as people thought with a system of avoidance. Now here, the knee is going over the toe in just the top position, and the next progression, it's not over the toe yet. It's only going over the toe in the bottom position. So here, with some assistance, front foot elevation, I could get into it. As you go lower, more strength and flexibility is required. This, I think, is a great mark, being pain-free, mobile, flat ground, but you still have infinite scalability based on loading. Then a deep squat, the knee goes over the toe, you go down, and it's still over the toe here. So a deep squat, you're putting it all together, whereas here, it's just that bottom part. And here, we've got a really smooth scale because if you elevate the heels some, you get some extra activation. And notice, if you reach out far enough, I can squat, my knee's not even going over my toes. So counterbalance and the amount of load creates a smooth squat scale. So heavier, closer, harder, therefore dumbbell harder than plate. And by loading a barbell, you would again have that infinite scalability concept. I'll now run down the knee conditions that doctors told me I had, because the number one question I get to this day is, I have XYZ condition, will this work for me? So this isn't medical. This is basic exercise that should have existed. There should be no knees over toes guy. In the 1970s, the assumption was made that when the knee goes over the toe, it's more pressure. That's true, so avoid that pressure. That wasn't based on long-term research, it was an assumption. But that prevailed. That was the dominating theory for 50 years. All the research then showed, whoops, we were wrong. Actually, more ability means more protected knees, less chance of injury, less chance of pain, preserving the knees longer. But then what do we do with that information? So this system supplies what would have been common sense for, I think, just about anyone to come up with. In my case, I had already been through so much at a young enough age that I was still so delusional trying to become a basketball player. Should have quit and done something else. And just kept going and going and going. So I had no choice but to come up with the system of ability. Never thinking, oh, wow, one day I'll have some of the most bulletproof basketball knees in the world. No, that happened not even instantly. Like many years, maybe like 10 years later, that people were like, whoa, look at your mobility. And it was like, wow, I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't know I was going to be able to dunk a basketball. So the scaling down part helped me get off the painkillers, but then the scaling up part helped me protect myself. But then it's a personal journey. So I get these questions. I'm 75. I have XYZ condition. I can't then say, yep, this many weeks, these exercises, you'll be dunking 3 weeks. No, it's a personal journey. These are tools you can use to increase ability. Pain, injury is demand exceeding your ability. So some of these things can't control. Fall off a ladder, things extremes, but there's some demand exceeding our ability. We could get more logical about the demand, but then there's certain things we want to be able to do in life. We don't want to have to say goodbye to those things. And so this now gives you a system to see if your ability could get up to that. And that's now happened for tens of thousands of people applying this. This morning I thought of 10 different conditions off the top of my head. Patellofemoral pain syndrome, iliotibial band syndrome, tibiofibular dislocation disease, patellar tendonitis, chondromalacia patella. Let me tell you, when you are going through middle school and high school and you're in chronic pain and already being told you have diseases and syndromes and Latin words you don't even know, you just assume you're out of, like, you're cooked. You got bad knees. The rest of your life you're going to have bad knees. Then you go through surgeries. I had torn ACL, meniscus, fractured kneecap, torn quad tendon, bursitis. Then had even worse mess ups. The surgery was all on the left side. Then my right knee, like I know something happened. That was the splitting point for me. I didn't go back to a doctor at that point. So I don't know. I'll never know. There was probably more than 10 different conditions that a doctor would have told me. I knew I was going to need surgery. If I went to a doctor, I was going to be told to have surgery. But I can't evaluate for someone else if their condition, they should have surgery, because I don't even know what my condition was that I healed without surgery. So hopefully this is making some sense. It's a rant, but these are not subjects that we've talked about before. Even though this shouldn't be new, this is a new subject. So hopefully that answers the question. I probably will keep getting the questions every single day. I have XYZ. Well, I had 10 plus conditions, never had to work through pain, didn't know what the end results were going to be, but found that I could increase my ability, thereby reducing pain, reducing chance of injury in life. Hope this helps.